Those were the words Rachel Bennett spoke at her sister's engagement party. She laughed as she said it. Her wine glass caught the light. 30 family members heard her. Her husband, David, stood in the doorway with grocery bags in his hands. He'd just arrived from working a double shift. What happened next will make you question everything you think you know about marriage, loyalty, and the price of taking devotion for granted. Viewers, what would you do if you heard your spouse wish you out of existence in front of your entire family? Drop your thoughts in the comments. The Bennett family gathering was in full swing. Rachel's sister Emma had just announced her engagement. The backyard glowed with string lights. Music played softly. Relatives clustered around tables covered with food and champagne. David had texted Rachel hours earlier. Working late. Supply chain emergency. Be there by 8. She'd replied with a thumbs up. Nothing more. At 7:30, Rachel stood near the dessert table. Her cousin Jennifer leaned close. "How's married life treating you?" Rachel's smile tightened. "It's fine. Just fine." Jennifer pressed. Rachel glanced around. Her mother was busy with Emma. Her father was grilling. No one was really listening. Or so she thought. "Honestly." Rachel's voice dropped, but not enough. "David's holding me back. He works construction. Comes home dirty and tired. We live in that tiny rental because his salary barely covers bills." Jennifer's eyes widened. "Rachel." "I'm serious." Rachel took a long sip of wine. "I have my degree. I work at the marketing firm. I could be doing so much more if I wasn't tied down to someone who's content with being ordinary." "That's harsh," Jennifer said quietly. Rachel shrugged. "It's honest. My friends are married to doctors, lawyers, entrepreneurs. What do I get? A guy who smells like sawdust." She didn't notice her Aunt Margaret had moved closer, or that her Uncle Tom was within earshot, or that her mother had paused mid-conversation. "You know what I really think?" Rachel's voice rose slightly. The wine was working. "I wish he'd just disappear. My life would be so much better without him dragging me down." The words hung in the air. A few people turned. Some pretended not to hear. Others exchanged uncomfortable glances. That's when David appeared in the doorway. He held 2 grocery bags. One contained the expensive wine Rachel had texted him to pick up. The other held the imported cheese she'd insisted the party needed. He'd left work early, raced to 3 different stores, spent money they didn't really have, all to make sure Rachel looked good in front of her family. His work boots were dusty. His shirt had a concrete stain. His face was tired but hopeful. He stood there for 3 seconds. Maybe 4. Long enough to hear everything. Rachel saw him. Her face went white, then red, then blank. David didn't say anything. He set the bags on the nearest table. The wine bottle clinked softly against the wood. He turned and walked back through the house. "David, wait." Rachel started after him. But he was already gone. His truck engine started. Gravel crunched under the tires. Rachel stood frozen in the doorway. Behind her, the party had gone completely silent. Her mother's voice cut through the quiet. "What have you done?" David drove for an hour. No destination. Just a way. His hands gripped the steering wheel. His jaw was tight. His eyes burned but no tears came. He'd given her everything. 4 years of marriage. 60-hour work weeks. Every penny he earned went to their shared account. He'd skipped lunches to save money. Worked weekends to pay for her business clothes. Smiled through her complaints about their apartment. And she wished he'd disappear. He pulled into a rest stop. Sat in the darkness. The parking lot was empty except for one semi-truck. David pulled out his phone. Scrolled through contacts. Stopped at a name he hadn't called in 8 months. Marcus Chen. College roommate. Now a successful attorney. The phone rang twice. "David? That you?" Yeah. David's voice was rough. Man, it's been forever. What's going on? I need a lawyer. Silence. Then Marcus's tone changed. Professional. Focused. What kind of lawyer? Divorce. Marcus didn't ask questions. Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? 8 a.m. I'll be there. David ended the call. He sat in the truck for another 20 minutes. Then he drove to a motel on the edge of town. Paid cash for a week. Room 14. Single bed. Thin curtains. It was enough. He lay on the bed fully clothed. Stared at the ceiling. The water-stained tiles. The flickering light from the parking lot. For the first time in 4 years, he didn't have to pretend to be happy. The next morning, David walked into Chan and Associates at 7:55. Marcus met him in the lobby. They shook hands. Marcus led him to a conference room. Tell me everything, Marcus said. David did. The whole story. The family gathering. Rachel's words. The years of subtle disdain. The way she'd started introducing him as just David instead of my husband. Marcus took notes. When David finished, Marcus leaned back. You have grounds for divorce. Emotional cruelty. But here's what I need to know. Do you own anything together? The apartment's a rental. Both our names. Cars. My truck. Paid off. Her sedan. Still making payments. Bank accounts. David hesitated. Joint checking. About $3,000. Marcus nodded. Any other assets I should know about? David looked at his hands. Calloused. Scarred. The hands of a man who built things. There's something else. Marcus waited. My grandfather died 2 years ago. Left me his property. 40 acres outside the city. Farmhouse. Barn. Some equipment. Marcus's pen paused. Is your wife on the deed? No. My grandfather put it in a trust. For me only. Said I should keep it separate. Make sure it stayed in the family. Smart man. Marcus wrote quickly. What's it worth? Last appraisal said $1.2 million. Developers want it. Perfect location for a housing project. Marcus looked up. David, does Rachel know about this? No. I never told her. She would have wanted to sell it immediately. Use the money for a bigger house. Designer furniture. I wanted to keep it. Maybe retire there someday. You kept $1 million asset secret from your wife? David nodded. My grandfather made me promise. He met Rachel once. Said she had expensive taste and a restless spirit. Told me to protect what was mine. Marcus smiled. Slow and knowing. Your grandfather was a wise man. This changes everything. They spent 2 hours planning. Marcus explained the process. Petition for divorce. Grounds. Asset division. Since the property was in a trust established before the marriage, Rachel had no claim to it. She'll try, Marcus warned. She'll argue you hid assets. But the trust is ironclad. I'll file the paperwork today. David signed where Marcus indicated. His signature was steady. One more thing, Marcus said. Where are you staying? Motel on 5th. Not anymore. I have a friend who manages apartments downtown. Corporate rentals. Furnished. I'll get you set up. You're not living in a motel while we handle this. David wanted to argue. To say he couldn't afford it. Marcus raised a hand. Consider it a loan. You'll pay me back after the settlement. Deal. They shook hands again. David left the office feeling something he hadn't felt in years. Control. Rachel called 37 times that first day. David didn't answer. Each call went to voicemail. Each voicemail was the same. Panicked. Apologetic. Desperate. David, please. I didn't mean it. I was drunk. It was stupid. Please come home. By day 3, the messages changed. This is ridiculous. You're overreacting. It was just words. Come home so we can talk like adults. By day 5, anger crept in. Fine. Stay gone. See if I care. You're proving my point. You're weak. Immature. This is exactly why I said what I said. David listened to each message once. Deleted them all. On day 7, he got a new phone number. Kept the old phone off. Rachel showed up at the motel on day 8. The clerk told her David Bennett had checked out. No forwarding address. She tried his job. His foreman said David had taken personal leave. Medical reasons. Confidential. She called Marcus's office. The receptionist was polite but firm. Mr. Chen cannot discuss client matters. Have a nice day. Rachel felt the walls closing in. 2 weeks after the party, Rachel received an envelope. It arrived by courier. She signed for it without thinking. Inside were divorce papers. Thick. Official. Her name printed in bold letters across the top. She sank onto the couch. Read every page. Her hands shook. Grounds for divorce. Irreconcilable differences and emotional cruelty. Petitioner. David Michael Bennett. Respondent. Rachel and Bennett. At the bottom, David's signature. Witnessed and notarized. There was a note clipped to the front page. Handwritten. You wished I'd disappear. I'm granting your wish. Sign the papers. Move on. We're done. D. Rachel's phone rang. Her mother. Did you get papers? Her mother's voice was cold. Yes. Good. Sign them. Mom. You humiliated that man in front of everyone. You humiliated this family. Your father won't even speak your name. Emma's furious. Do you know she almost postponed her engagement party because of you? Rachel's throat tightened. I made a mistake. You made a choice. Now deal with it. The line went dead. Rachel tried to call David's number. Disconnected. She tried texting. Message failed. She drove to his construction site. His foreman met her at the gate. David's not here. When will he be back? Can't say. I'm his wife. The foreman's expression hardened. Not for long from what I hear. You should go. Rachel drove home in a daze. The apartment felt different. Empty. David's tools were gone. His clothes. His books. Even his coffee mug. She hadn't noticed before. She'd been too angry. Too defensive. Now she noticed everything. 3 weeks later, Rachel sat in a coffee shop with her sister Emma. Emma stirred her latte in silence. She'd agreed to meet but made it clear this wasn't a social call. I don't know what to do, Rachel said. Sign the papers. I can't just. Yes, you can. Emma's voice was sharp. David was good to you. He worked himself to exhaustion. He never complained. And you trashed him in front of everyone. I was drunk. Drunk words are sober thoughts. Rachel flinched. That's not fair. Emma leaned forward. You know what's not fair? David showing up with groceries you demanded. After working all day. And hearing his wife wish he'd disappear. I didn't know he was there. That makes it worse. You meant every word. Rachel's eyes filled with tears. I want to apologize. Then sign the papers. That's the apology he wants. Emma stood. Dropped a 20 on the table. You're my sister. I love you. But you're wrong. And until you admit that, we're done. She walked out. Rachel sat alone for an hour. The coffee went cold. 1 month after the party, Rachel received a call from an unknown number. She answered. Hello, Mrs. Bennett. This is James Thornton. I'm calling from Westfield Apartments. We need to discuss your lease. Rachel's stomach dropped. What about it? The rent is overdue. 2 weeks now. We've sent notices. My husband handles that. According to our records, Mr. Bennett removed his name from the lease 3 weeks ago. The account is now solely in your name. The balance is $3,800. Rachel felt dizzy. That can't be right. I'm looking at the paperwork now. He came in personally. Signed all the forms. You're responsible for the full amount. I don't have that much right now. Then we'll need to discuss a payment plan. Or termination of the lease. The call ended. Rachel checked her bank account. Joint checking showed $800. Her personal account had $300. David had withdrawn his share. Quietly, methodically, she called her landlord. Confirmed what Thornton had said. David's name was off everything. She called the car dealership. Her sedan's loan was in both names. But the recent payments had all come from her account. David had stopped contributing 4 weeks ago. She called the insurance company. Same story. David had transferred his policy. Separated his coverage. Every thread that tied them together was being cut. One by one. Rachel tried to work. Showed up to her marketing firm. Smiled at clients. Pitched campaigns. But her boss pulled her aside after a week. Rachel, your performance is slipping. 3 missed deadlines. 2 client complaints. What's going on? She couldn't explain. Couldn't admit that her marriage was imploding. Personal issues. I'll fix it. Her boss wasn't convinced. Take a week. Clear your head. Come back ready to work. It wasn't a suggestion. Rachel went home. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. She opened David's closet. Empty hangers stared back. She checked the bathroom. His toothbrush was gone. His razor. His shampoo. He'd removed himself completely. Like he'd never been there at all. 2 months after the party, Rachel appeared in court. She wore her best suit. Her hair was perfect. Her makeup covered the sleepless nights. David sat across the aisle with Marcus. He wore a simple gray suit. Clean. Professional. He looked good. Rested. Calm. He didn't look at her once. The judge reviewed the paperwork. This is a petition for dissolution of marriage. Mr. Bennett is the petitioner. Mrs. Bennett is the respondent. Rachel's lawyer leaned close. You can still contest this. Rachel watched David. His jaw was set. His eyes forward. No, she whispered. I can't. The judge continued. Mr. Bennett is requesting no spousal support. No division of joint assets beyond what's been agreed to in mediation. Marcus stood. Your Honor, my client has been more than fair. He's agreed to split the joint checking account evenly. He's removed his name from all shared leases and loans. He's asking for nothing from Mrs. Bennett. Rachel's lawyer stood. Your Honor, we'd like to discuss potential hidden assets. My client believes there may be property. Marcus cut in smoothly. If counsel is referring to the property held in trust by my client's late grandfather, that asset predates the marriage and is protected under state trust law. We have documentation. He handed papers to the judge. Thick folders. Legal documents. Trust agreements. Rachel's lawyer flipped through them. His face fell. The judge scanned the documents. Nodded. The trust is valid. Established 6 years before the marriage. Property is not marital asset. Petition granted. The gavel came down. Just like that, it was over. Rachel sat frozen. 4 years of marriage. Done in 15 minutes. David stood. Shook Marcus's hand. Walked toward the exit. Rachel found her voice. David. He stopped. Didn't turn around. I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't mean. He turned slowly. His face was calm. Not angry. Not hurt. Just done. You meant it, he said quietly. And I heard you. Can't we try again? Go to counseling. I'll do better. I promise. David's expression didn't change. You wanted me to disappear. I did. You got exactly what you wished for. He walked out. Rachel tried to follow. Marcus stepped in her path. Polite but firm. Mrs. Bennet, it's over. Move forward. She watched David push through the courthouse doors. Sunlight streamed in. Then he was gone. 3 months after the divorce, Rachel's life had changed completely. She'd moved to a smaller apartment. 1 bedroom. Cheap rent. The walls were thin. She could hear her neighbors fighting. Her job was stable but stressful. Her boss watched her closely. No more mistakes allowed. Her family was distant. Polite but cold. Her mother answered calls but kept conversations short. Her father hadn't spoken to her since the party. Emma sent texts on holidays. Nothing more. Rachel had become the cautionary tale. The woman who threw away a good man. She heard updates through mutual friends. David had moved. New apartment downtown. Nice building. He'd been promoted at work. Site supervisor now. Better pay. Better hours. He was dating someone. A teacher. And quiet. They'd met at a charity event. Rachel saw a photo on social media. David smiling. Really smiling. The woman beside him had her hand on his arm. Comfortable. Easy. Rachel stared at the photo for a long time. That could have been her. Should have been her. But she'd thrown it away with careless words and a wine-soaked laugh. One evening, Rachel sat alone in her apartment. The TV played quietly. Some cooking show she wasn't watching. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. She opened it. This is Marcus Chen. David asked me to send this to you. He wanted you to know. Below was a photo. A property deed. David's name. 40 acres. Sold to Bennett Development LLC for $1.5 million. Another photo. A check. Made out to David Bennett. $750,000 after taxes and fees. A final message. He's doing fine. Better than fine. He wanted you to know he didn't just disappear. He moved on. And he's free. Don't contact him again. Rachel dropped the phone. $750,000. He'd had that the whole time. Could have used it. Could have bought them a house. A car. A better life. But he'd kept it hidden. Protected it. From her. Because he'd known. Deep down. That she'd never really loved him. She'd loved the idea of marriage. The security. The normalcy. But not him. Never him. Rachel curled up on the couch. The apartment was dark. Quiet. Empty. For the first time, she understood what she'd lost. Not the money. Not the property. The man who'd loved her despite everything. Who'd worked himself to exhaustion. Who'd bought expensive wine and imported cheese just to make her look good. The man who'd heard her wish him away and decided to grant it. 6 months after the divorce, David stood on his grandfather's land. He'd decided not to sell after all. The development company had made a generous offer. But standing here, with the sun setting over the old farmhouse, he'd realized something. This was home. This was peace. He'd hired contractors. Started renovations. The farmhouse was coming back to life. New roof. New windows. Fresh paint. The barn would become a workshop. He'd always wanted space to build furniture. Real furniture. Not just construction work. His girlfriend, Sarah, stood beside him. She taught 3rd grade. Had a laugh like wind chimes. Didn't care about designer bags or expensive restaurants. She cared about Sunday morning pancakes and hiking trails and the way David's eyes lit up when he talked about his grandfather. "It's beautiful," Sarah said softly. David nodded. "It will be." His phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. Heard from Rachel's lawyer. She's filing for reconsideration. Wants another chance at the property. David smiled. Typed back, "Too late. It's not for sale." He pocketed the phone. Looked at the land stretching before him. 40 acres of freedom. Of peace. Of second chances. Rachel had wanted him to disappear. So he had. And in disappearing, he'd found himself. The life he'd always deserved. The respect he'd earned. The love he'd been searching for. He turned to Sarah. "Let me show you the barn." They walked together. The evening air cool on their faces. Somewhere in the distance, crickets sang. David had disappeared. But he'd also appeared. Into a life Rachel could never touch. Never taint. Never take away. He'd granted her wish. And in doing so, had freed them both.